Hello and welcome to Let's Talk HR with Dr. Deneen, the talk show that spotlights HR professionals and talks about all things HR. The big, beautiful bill. What does that mean for HR? And what are the HR implications? On today's episode of Let's Talk HR with Dr. Deneen, I am joined by attorney Jeff Weintraub, senior counsel, Fisher Phillips, to break down the big, beautiful bill and discuss what it really means for HR. So let's dive right in. Welcome to the show, attorney.
Thank you, Dr. Deneen.
I am so glad you're here today. And he's like a resident attorney here. So he's back today to talk a little bit about this big, beautiful bill. But before we do that, let's find out what's happening with you. Now, we know that you are a musician, attorney and musician. So is something happening new for you?
Well, the band is still together,
Yeah.
and we're looking for more gigs and always looking to play. Do you have an opening for us on this talk show, perhaps?
Well, let's think about that. Maybe we can do a new intro or something like that.
That'd be great. A new intro for you. Now, I got to tell you,
Yes.
Our normal charge is $100,000.
Oh, wow.
But for you, Deneen,
For me,
$400.
hey,
So
we may consider that. But I understand something new is happening with your wife.
yeah, my wife Melody Weintraub is a watercolor artist and art educator. Has taught in the schools, and she's now teaching for UT, helping train future art teachers.
Okay.
And she has her own show at the Church Health Center
Okay.
in Crosstown
Yeah.
here in Memphis. And it's, everybody knows it's the old Sears Tower.
Yes.
Then the Church Health Center is inside. There's free parking in the garage.
All right.
And there's a really good coffee shop in there to get your coffee. I think it's
Yeah.
called French Truck. So
Yeah, I think I've seen
y'all
that.
come on down.
Come on down. You hear it, come on down. So glad to see you again and to hear things are still happening for you in your personal life other than being an attorney. So let's put on the attorney hat now.
Oh,
and we're
gee.
going to talk about this big, beautiful bill and break it down. So we know that we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that's going to impact HR, like overtime. We're going to talk a little bit about dependent care and what that means. We're going to even talk about the emergence and differences we see in ICE and immigration. And we'll talk a little bit about how the bill impacts DEI. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about the overtime rule. There is something new with this bill that is going to impact overtime tax deduction. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill Act, I think I'll just call it the Act. It's too many words to keep saying.
The act.
The Act, it's really a tax and spending bill.
Okay.
Tax attorneys like to talk about it. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not going to do y'all's tax return. Don't ask me to do that. And I don't even do my own tax return. So for detailed questions about this, you want to talk to an accountant or a tax attorney, someone that is familiar with that stuff. But Dr. Lester has asked me today to talk about the HR implications
Yes,
of this
HR
stuff.
implications of the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, so one of those is the overtime deal, and we all know about overtime.
Yes.
Now, I got to explain, Deneen, that the overtime we're talking about here is Fair Labor Standards Act
Yes.
overtime,
Yes.
and it's weekly.
Weekly.
Overtime.
Okay.
Some states have daily overtime,
All right.
overtime over 8, et cetera. Even in states that don't have that, like Tennessee and Mississippi, there can still be individuals who work for a company that have a special deal where they get, maybe they were hired on the condition that they get daily overtime, like an employment contract.
Okay. All
So the act that we're here to talk about today only covers normal FLSA
Okay.
weekly overtime, which of course is time and a half
Right.
over 40.
Over 40 hours per week. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I should also explain that this tax deduction that we're going to see here, first, it's an above-the-line tax deduction.
Okay.
I don't know if you know tax stuff, but most people know above the line. You know what they call it above the line? It's because it's on the form, it's above the AGI, the adjusted gross income. It's
Okay.
above the line.
Yes.
It's cute. So it reduces a person's income.
Ah,
That's a good deduction, so it gives you more take-home pay.
okay.
That's the effect of it.
All right.
And you have to be, basically a non-exempt individual. You
Mm-hmm.
can't get it, Deneen. I'm sorry. I
Too
can't
bad.
get it.
Right.
But for non-exempt individuals, they would be, potentially eligible for this above-the-line deduction, so they could
Okay.
end up with more take-home pay, which, okay, that's great. So when does it apply?
Yes.
It applies this tax year, 2025.
All right.
And all the way up through the 2028 tax year. And after that,
Uh-huh.
it goes away unless, it gets re-upped or something like that.
Okay.
So that's basically what it does. Now I also should tell you, it's not, if you're thinking, okay, I work 45 hours, so I got 5 hours overtime, so all that 5 hours is gonna reduce my take-home pay. Doesn't work that way. It's only the half-time premium.
Okay.
So when overtime is time and a half under the FLSA, so take out the time, the 1 hour, so it's the half-time premium
Okay.
that is going to be deductible to reduce your income on your tax return. So that is pretty cool, I guess. I hope we don't go broke as a country because we're giving people benefits, but I'm always glad to see people getting more take-home pay.
All right. So for us in HR, in compensation areas, finance areas, this is going to be an impact for them to make sure that they pay attention to what this changes, what it does, and for what happens with employees with regard to it. Now let's change it. We're talking about employees and how the big bill is going to impact that. Now, for workers that maybe work for tips, right? Work for tips. I think there's something in this big bill that impacts that as well. Is that right?
Now, do you mean my band again? Because we are glad to accept tips. We have a tip jar and would love to have some of those Dr. Lester $20 bills in that tip jar.
In the tip jar. But this time we're talking about overall employees who work in an industry that uses tip as part of their compensation. So talk about that.
Well, when you were talking about the overtime a second ago, you mentioned that HR folks are going to have to, educate people on stuff. So that has to happen with the tip deduction too.
Okay.
For the overtime, you're going to have to have different kind of W-2s. When you think about it, because states that have, daily overtime, they're going to have to separate out that overtime from the FLSA over a week. Well, you have to do the same thing for the tip deduction. There's going to have to be, HR folks are going to have additional paperwork.
Okay.
And I know HR folks love paperwork.
Oh, don't we?
Oh my gosh. So the paperwork is going to increase. Now, to me, as a lawyer, there's a fascinating thing here, and it really impacts all y'all HR professionals out there too. And that's a phrase I want to talk about today for this tip deduction.
Okay.
The tip deduction is going to be available for individuals, employees who customarily and regularly receive tips.
Okay.
Let's say that together, audience. It's for tipped employees who customarily and regularly receive tips.
Okay.
But that's limited to whether they receive tips customarily or regularly up to the end of 2024.
Okay. So anything that happened in 25 is not going to count.
Not going to count for this particular deduction. So let's talk about that phrase. It's only available to individuals who customarily and regularly receive tips. Now, some of y'all think you know what that means.
You better tell us what it means. Okay.
You're right. It does mean certain things to the Department of Labor.
Okay.
And, we're talking about, servers, wait staff, that kind of, everybody knows what that is. It wouldn't be under the Department of Labor rules for tips, where we're talking about things like, a tip credit is something employers can take to offset some of the minimum wage that they'd otherwise have to pay to the tipped employee.
Okay.
So,
right.
we think of who do you give tips to in a restaurant? You give it to the servers, wait staff, and so forth. You don't give it to the dishwasher, do you? You don't walk back to the back and hand a tip. You don't hand it to the cook back there, the chef.
Right.
Regularly, anyway.
Yeah.
So under the Department of Labor stuff, that customarily and regularly receives tips, the same phrase, means only a very limited number of occupations that actually can receive the tips.
Okay.
It's not so under the new big beautiful bill.
Okay. So there's a difference there.
There's a huge difference, and it's the same phrase. So there's going to be confusion, and HR folks are going to have to educate people. According to some regulations, some guidance just issued a couple of days ago by the Treasury Department, there are actually 68 occupations
Okay.
that they define as occupations that customarily and regularly receive tips, so they would be able to have this deduction. So what are these things? Well, they're the usual waitstaff, service, and so forth.
Right.
But it's also dishwashers.
Oh,
It's
they're
also
being added.
Yeah, and
Okay.
cooks.
Okay. Okay.
And guess who else? Tattoo artists.
Hey,
I mean, who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? So all these folks are going to be able to get the deduction. Now these, I should point out, these Treasury Department regs is just like a preliminary. This is a preliminary list
Okay.
of these 68 occupations. They're supposed to issue a final list sometime in the next couple of months, so we'll find out for sure. But I don't think they're going to cut back on the list of 68. So for HR folks, this is really going to be, I don't know how this is going to work out, because y'all are used to these customarily and regularly tipped employees as being a certain very limited group. And now for the deduction, you're going to have to be explaining, well, that's still true for Department of Labor.
Okay.
Not going to be true under the big beautiful bill and this nice tip deduction.
Okay.
So it's going to open to the dishwashers and the tattoo artists and all 68. I'm not going to read off the list.
Yeah.
I'm all listed down here, but I
Yeah.
don't think we want to spend
Okay.
time.
No, we don't. But we know it's going to increase under that, and for HR professionals, we have to be ready for those type of changes, paperwork-wise, education-wise, being prepared in order to make sure that this happens. Interesting stuff for HR.
I'm going to add one more thing there,
Please.
if I may. The tip deduction also will, you know how when you have a large party, because I know you and Chuck have large parties every night.
Not quite every night, but sometimes we do. Yeah.
Well, there's normally restaurants put on this extra charge.
Yes.
And they call it gratuity, right?
Right.
A tip. That won't be included in the tax deduction either.
Okay. Up to 24.
Up through 24.
Yes.
So the only thing is going to be the tips for these 68 occupations or whatever the ultimate list turns out to be. I think that was kind of interesting. It's going to be more work for HR folks because you're going to have to keep up with the stuff. If you're like a restaurant or hotel or something like that, entertainment industry, where there are tips, then yeah.
Well, roll up your sleeves, HR professionals.
Absolutely.
There's some things in those industries, there's some things that we have to do. So interesting enough, we're talking about tax and talking about tips. I understand that there is some type of tax, maybe relief with childcare,
Yeah.
adoptions with that?
Yeah, and this is one of those things that I don't know it's going to impact HR that much, but this is where you talk to your accountant or something. But yeah, let me just go over those if I may briefly.
Yeah.
There's the child care thing. There's going to be more tax relief for child care and adoption assistance, and this is where employees sometimes get assistance, financial assistance from their employer for child care and for adoptions. And they get a better tax treatment because of that assistance. And there's also going to be some increase in what the employer gets as a maximum amount of child care credit that the employer can take. So that's good. Also, along the same track, you have an increase in the dependent care FSA, the flexible spending accounts that a lot of companies offer. The max contribution for those accounts is increased under the big bill. Now, what does that mean for HR? It means you're going to have to educate your employees and your payroll people and so forth, and your benefits folks. Now, you're going to get help from your payroll. If you outsource payroll and stuff, they're going to know about this stuff too, and they're going to have suggestions.
And
but you're
make
going to
those
have
differences, yeah.
Yeah, but you're still going to have to make decisions.
Yeah.
Along the same line, you've got student loan reimbursements.
Okay.
The tax exclusion for that is going to be made permanent. We have that now, it hadn't changed, but now it's going to be permanent. and also the tax credit for, this is interesting, for paid FMLA leave, which is out there now.
Okay.
It's going to be made permanent.
All right.
Now, you know, in Washington, I don't know what permanent means. It may be till the next administration.
Yeah.
But right now, it's indicated that it's permanent.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting. Those are some interesting things, some interesting changes that's gonna happen with the bill. Now let's kind of talk about some other things that's kind of been emerging with this big beautiful bill.
The band, maybe. We're gonna talk about the band again.
Not your band, but
wow.
yeah. We're going to talk about some things that are emerging though. So let's talk a little bit about what we've been seeing, this increase and change in immigration and with ICE.
Oh.
What has the big beautiful bill done with regard to this, and how it is it causing these different, or this emergence of immigration legislation?
The short answer is yeah.
It is what we're seeing, yeah.
And this, as you know, Deneen, this goes beyond the big beautiful bill, because there are lots of things going on in immigration. Everybody knows about the Hyundai raid here a couple of days ago, where ICE raided, and what was it, 400 or 500 employees they picked up, South Korean nationals maybe who had overstayed their visas or something. Don't really know. All I know is that, you know, this gets a little scary if you're an employer.
Yeah.
You know, for example, in the construction industry, there are lots of immigrants working. And some of them, I guess, are illegal, some are legal. So you've got the entertainment, the hotel industry, where there's lots of immigrants. Restaurants, a lot of them utilize and depend on immigrants. Those employers are really going to be, I think, profoundly affected by all this stuff that's going on with ICE and immigration. I certainly have clients who have been raided.
Wow.
And it's scary. Now, this isn't totally a new thing. This has been going on for years.
All right.
The raids, but now there's going to be lots more of them. And why is that? Well, it's because their budget has increased.
All right.
It's been basically tripled. It's now up to $30 billion.
Wow. Okay.
Now, where does that money come from? It comes from other programs.
All right.
Okay. So, I mean, that's how government works. They take from one program and put it in another program, whichever program is favored at that moment. Well, immigration is favored, you know, immigration enforcement actions is favored by this administration. So that means more money is being taken from other programs and moved into immigration enforcement. And a lot of this has resulted, a lot of that money is going also from supporting public sector employers and moved it into private sector employers. And that's like the construction companies and the entertainment and the hotels and the restaurants and all that. So that means, no one knows the ultimate impact of all this, but that Hyundai raid, there's gonna be a lot more raids, especially in those 3 or 4 industries. A lot more raids, a lot more deportations.
Wow.
So that is going to profoundly affect. Now, one little side note, if I may.
Yeah.
And this goes back way before the big beautiful bill, but when the ICE trucks pull up in an employer's parking lot, if you have immigrants who are in fact illegal, regardless of whether you know about it or not, those individuals may try to escape.
Okay.
They go out through the back door. Now, a lot of companies, at the back door, they have a yard maybe, and they have equipment, you know, piled up in there, and they have a fence around that yard. And on the fence, at the top of the fence, what do they have? Razor wire.
Okay. All right.
So if let's say that they're illegal immigrants and they're escaping the ICE trucks, they get cut up on the razor wire, that's potentially an OSHA violation.
Ah, did you hear that, HR professionals?
So
yeah.
I don't know what you want to do about that, but you know, if you do have some individuals who are illegal aliens, well, you already have a problem. But under OSHA, there has to be an escape route, like for fires and whatever, and that would probably include ice trucks in your parking lot. So anyway, that's just a little aside, has nothing technically to do with the big bill, but enforcement is obviously going to increase in the immigration sector. And the money is going that $30 billion is going to come from these other programs. So if I may, that kind of leads into the other topic I'd like to talk about, which doesn't at first seem connected, but is, and that's DEI.
Okay. Before we go to DEI, and that is a great segue because we want to talk about that.
Thank you. That was a good segue, wasn't it?
But hey, it's perfect. But for HR professionals with the immigration, there are protocols that's supposed to happen in your organization. What can and cannot be done. I recommend you go and research that and know exactly what you're supposed to do as HR professionals when these type things. And call Jeff if you need to. Call Jeff. Now, what's interesting is the DEI changes that we've seen under this big, beautiful bill and the implications of that. Take the stage on this one and tell us more about that.
It's really, I don't know, I see a direct link between what I was just talking about the money being taken from public sector and moved to the private sector enforcement of immigration, and all that is $30 billion is coming from these other programs. That's going to impact DEI programs. Now, before going into the DEI stuff, there's something I always cover, and you've heard me talk about this before, about DEI.
Okay.
So let me lead in with that, and then we'll dive into the DEI under the new bill.
Okay.
Can I be a little controversial here? You've never known me to be controversial.
I have not, and we're just making a disclosure. That is his opinion on that. But let's go.
Did you tense up a little bit when Jeff is about to say something controversial?
Hey, let's see, because Go ahead.
I know it's controversial, but what I'm about to tell you is, at least in my opinion, completely true, 100% accurate. DEI is not illegal.
All right.
DEI is not unlawful. I don't care what you've heard. Some of you have heard otherwise, and that is simply not true.
All right.
Let me break that down a little bit. And I think I can speak with authority on this. To my knowledge, I'm the only attorney in West Tennessee that has ever defended an employer's affirmative action program. It was public sector.
Yes.
They met all the Supreme Court requirements for that, and they were legally allowed. We won the case after a trial before the late Judge Horton. And Judge Horton decided that the public employer's affirmative action program was lawful. It was narrowly tailored. It didn't trample on the interests of whites or males. And there was historic systemic discrimination against minorities and females in the city of Memphis. And therefore, they were allowed to use race and sex as a factor, that's the term, in the Supreme Court, in an affirmative action plan. But once you meet your goals for that, it has to drop out. Any affirmative action after you met your goals is simply illegal discrimination on the basis of race or gender.
Okay.
That's the background. Now, the private sector is very different from the public sector.
All right.
So private sector, you can't do these same things that I was just talking about. And you really can't do it today in the public sector because the goals have been met. So further true affirmative action would be unlawful discrimination under Title VII. So what we have today is that diversity programs that go too far can be illegal. Diversity programs, too far would be if they use race or sex as factors in hiring or promotions. DEI programs were never intended to do that, Deneen. They were always intended to promote the value of diversity.
Yes.
So a true a true diversity, a true DEI program that simply values diversity in the workplace and the obvious value that we have from diversity is completely 100% totally legal in this country. To the extent that that diversity program goes too far, just like that old affirmative action program I was talking about, and starts using race as a factor in hiring or or sex as a factor in hiring or promotions,
Okay.
that becomes illegal race or gender discrimination under Title VII. You
All
can't
right.
do it. So a diversity program that honors and talks about the value of diversity in the workplace, completely legal, you can still do it. Now, I want to shift from legal to reality.
Okay, let's talk about
The
it.
reality is the current administration does not like diversity programs. Probably doesn't like the word diversity. That's why when they first brought out their regs, they talked about illegal diversity
All
programs.
right.
Well, no one knew what that meant. Well, I knew what it meant. It was diversity programs that went too far and used race and sex as factors in hiring and promotion, which you can't do. That's illegal. So the present administration is obviously, by turning down college grants and stuff like that, is doing things that go beyond the question of whether Harvard's diversity program was legal or not. To the extent that their program again was using race to employ people, to promote them, or to bring in students, then it would be illegal. To the extent that it just values diversity and so forth, it was not illegal. But the administration is going beyond just the legalities,
Okay.
and it has the right to do that. I mean, administrations do things like that. They favor stuff they like, and they disfavor stuff they don't like. So that is affecting many companies who are dropping their diversity programs in toto, and they really shouldn't take a step back and think it's okay to value diversity, to talk about diversity in the workplace
right.
and its benefits. You just can't go too far in it.
Okay. Whew. Well, we heard it here and what the differences are, and make sure we keep that in mind as we move forward in this. Now, I want to talk on one other thing. AI.
Oh,
If you could do it quickly.
I can do it
AI. How does this bill impact AI and regulation?
well, the original bill was intended to bar the states for 10 years from regulating AI. That
Okay.
didn't make it into the bill.
Okay.
So now states are free to do their own regulating of AI. So if you're a multi-state company, a big company, a bunch of states, you're going to be looking at each individual state to see whether AI is regulated in terms of hiring programs, promotion programs. If you're HR in a multi-state corporation, you're in for a headache.
Okay, you heard it here. You heard it here. Listen, this was a great conversation about how the big, beautiful bill impacts HR professionals and what we can do to move forward on that. Thank you so much again, Attorney Jeff Weintraub, for sharing your insights.
Thank
and,
you.
Hey, clearing it all up, right?
Thank
Setting
you.
it straight.
There can't be any more questions.
It can't be any more questions at this time. Wow, today, Attorney Jeff Weintraub, he's helped us to unpack the big, beautiful bill and what it means for HR. We have been reminded as HR professionals that we must continue to be aware and informed about new legislation and what that means for the HR industry. As HR professionals, we have to stay on top of the game and be ready to weather any challenge. Be sure to watch a new episode of Let's Talk HR with Dr. Deneen, the first of every month on the YouTube channel of the same name and on Comcast Xfinity Channel 17, Monday nights from 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Please note, you can watch Let's Talk HR with Dr. Deneen and prior episodes at any time. Go to YouTube and type in the talk show title. Be sure to subscribe, no fee, and click on the notification